What an absolute incredible episode. Episode 26 of Fair and Beyond Journey's End. I think this is easily one of my favorite episodes of the series so far. Just amazing animation over here. Like, they literally took like all these panels with the characters just standing in front of each other and they turned them into actual combat sequences. Just incredible job there. And yes, the fight with Frieren and Fern and Frieren, that was like way over the top compared to the actual manga. And yes, we got some insights into Ubel. We get a little bit of a tease about Frieren herself. Just all around, absolutely stellar episode. Now, my only like fear right now is that, yes, we have like 2 episodes left and we still have one more exam. It's like, what is this last exam going to be? Are they going to, it makes you feel like they're going to rush things, or at least, hopefully, my hope is that we're going to get an announcement from the season. It would suck if they actually had like, I don't know, the next episode is like a chill phase after the exam, and then the final episode is like literally, we're going to the final exam. I don't know. I don't know how long the final exam is going to be, but they indicate there's a 3rd exam based on the fact that, yes, they just passed this one, but they're not winning. So it at least implies there's another test, but we'll see. But this episode, let's focus on this episode. let me actually jump into all these segments. Let me focus first on Frieren and Fern. That whole fight, yes, like I kind of predicted there, it was not the end of it. Now, I had 2 predictions, and technically both predictions came true. One prediction was that they weren't going to defeat the replica and they'll have to try something else, which, yes, did actually happen. But my other prediction was that they were going to defeat the replica and it was going to make a new one, which that is technically a mechanic that this thing has, which was pretty much confirmed this episode. Yes, they don't defeat them and they're going away. No, they keep making the replicas. Now, it does indicate that they can only have 1 replica per person. I don't think we ever seen a shot where one person was replicaed twice at the same time. That would be incredible. They would just have like a whole bunch of Frierens. You're all dead. Just run. Just golem. If the golem can actually get you out of there, just golem. But yeah, that whole fight was absolutely incredible. Just the explosions, the cool. They did like this cool little thing with the like almost like a glass or a mirror kind of floating in the air. Just this incredible animation and an imagination of what she's creating there. But the crazy thing is, yes, Fern blasts, doesn't work, tries to get around again, does another shot. Technically, Frieren herself, knowing that she underestimates Fern, uses that as the opportunity there. I always underestimate you, and it's probably the best option here. Now, I would imagine that if you are able to admit that you underestimate somebody, that means that you're not underestimating them. But still, let's not think about that. But yeah, she does a really big attack in order to make a massive opening. But of course, that does put her in danger. She does get hit, but that gives Fern her opportunity to blast. Takes off both of her arms. So this replica is standing there with no arms and literally is still fighting. Like, that's a fatal blow, but she's still pushing. Now, the interesting thing here is that she pushes Fern into the wall. And Fern herself says, I couldn't detect her mana. And it wasn't, she couldn't figure out what it was as a magic attack. She doesn't think it's a magic attack. This is something that's outside of her realm of understanding. Now, there's 2 things here. Yes, she doesn't know that it's a magic attack or that it's a magic attack because she's never seen it before. She hasn't been pushed to use a spell like that in 80 years. Now, my math here is a little bit hazy. I haven't been keeping track of it in a long time, but yes, we've kind of listed out this kind of series of events here where, yes, Frieren went with Himmel's party. They took down the Demon Lord. They returned. I think it was 50 years later. She returns back to see Himmel. He's old and everything like that. And then shortly later, Himmel passes away. Then you jump forward, probably 10 or so years. She ends up running into Heiter. Heiter gives him Fern. 10 years later, we're now here. So that's roughly 80 years. I think if my setting my numbers and everything are correct, or what time spans they had at each point, that's 80 years. And I think that's the obvious conclusion that most people will draw hearing 80 years. That was the point in which they defeated the Demon Lord. So this spell that Frieren used on Fern that literally just pushed her against the wall and she couldn't detect it at all was an ability that she has not used in 80 years when she defeated the Demon Lord. That was the point in which something pushed her to her limits, which I like that mainly because my suspicion this whole time was that the way they played out how Flamel was training Frieren was in the hopes that nobody will know who she is, and this Demon Lord won't know what she is. Nobody will know what Frieren is able to do. Then when she gets in front of the Demon Lord's going to go, oh, it's Himmel, and it's Heiter, and it's Eisen, and who are you? Whatever. Anyways, let's fight. And then while he's fighting them, Frieren basically goes, boop, done. Because he had no clue that Frieren had some incredible power. Her mana, her aura, and everything is being suppressed and everything like that. It doesn't know how powerful she is. So yeah, that kind of changes my perspective there that yes, Frieren battled this Demon Lord. It was an all-out battle. And at the very end, when she was pushed to her limits, she used this ability. But yeah, really cool stuff. Really, really cool insight there. But yeah, she ends up defeating it, leaving a massive opening open there. And yes, kind of praises Fern being able to push her that far. And then they go in and Frieren finds a mimic. She gets inside that chamber and immediately goes to the mimic. There's a box over here. You've got to be a grimoire. Fern's over there like, please, Frieren, I'm tired. No, dang it. I thought it was a very fitting thing. I got a kick out of that. Where are they at? Dinka's like, where's the two ladies of the hour? Oh, yeah, over there. Yeah, I could see why she'd do that. Big room full of treasure. Again, this is a room that they have implied nobody has been in years. Like whenever this replica was put in there, nobody has been able to get in there. So that's actually a massive feat. This is probably something that will be legendary for all these individuals. But yeah, that aside, with Frieren and all that crazy animation, everything aside, let's get into the rest of this. Yes, the rest of them go to take down the replicas separate, kind of focusing on multiple people per powerful opponents, not so much for less powerful opponents, but essentially indicating we need to make sure that certain people go to certain people. Now, they do even acknowledge, yeah, we have to take into consideration threats here. And yes, they do point out Sense as one of them. And like, you actually are making this more difficult. She's like, nah, this isn't a problem. First class may just be able to handle something like this. This isn't something difficult. Plus, again, noting that what I was kind of mentioning before, she likes this idea of something like this because she's allowing them to work together. You can watch each other's backs. What better test can you have than being able to do something like this? You're not having to work against each other. You can all work with each other. That's great, isn't it? She has like this sense of like, again, it's that whole pacifist kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I'm being a nice person for y'all. But yeah, sadly, I think this is probably the biggest sad of this entire test is that yes, Lawine does get taken down by Sense. Now, it is interesting that I didn't actually think, if you asked me before this exam, okay, Kane and Lawine are going to be doing the exams. Who do you think would lose and who do you think would win? I would think that Lawine would, just because she has, again, we point out a lot of flaws in Kane. That she does, her main skill is controlling water. And if she doesn't have water nearby, she's less impactful. So you would assume that Lawine would be a lot more able to take down a situation like this. But no, Lawine is the one that goes down. Kane actually makes the end. I was very surprised by that. So unfortunately, the wives did not be able to, they didn't make it there. They get taken down. Denkin notes it. And then Ubel comes around the corner and says, oh, what are you guys doing? Does this thing need to get taken down? I think like Ubel's like been waiting to take down Sense for a long time because yeah, we get a little indication of that with that little flashback. But yeah, I love how she walks up and goes, oh, you need to take that down? Well, yes, we're making sure that we hold, everything down. No, I don't want an explanation. Does it need to be destroyed? Like, that's all she cares about. Is this need to be killed? Cool, that's all I care. He's like, yes, it does need to be killed. Okay, I'll take care of it. But yeah, everybody's like pointing out that she's not as powerful as Denkin. Denkin's the most powerful here. There's no way that you can take her down. It's kind of putting in that perspective of Mage. The Mage is that this mindset that some people have that this person's more powerful than this person. And I like how later on Methode even points out an extension of this. No, it's not that simple. It's not as simple as Frieren's the most powerful and you would say somebody like Kane is the least powerful. No, in this situation, it's different in the idea that there is sort of a rock, paper, scissors thing they're pointing out here, which honestly, I figured Denkin would have that mindset. But though Denkin doesn't know what Ubel's going to do. Denkin doesn't know what Ubel's capable of doing and how she is essentially the scissors to Sense's paper. That she does have this unique ability that is just works so much in favor for her to take down Sense. But yeah, it was like this whole idea of like, yeah, I can cut anything and hair needs cutting. Hair needs cutting. But it doesn't work like that. It has this magic and everything like that. No. Simple. Hair needs cutting. I like that. But yeah, Sense even herself noticed like, oh, looks like Ubel's going after me. Yeah, that's not much of a fight. And then we get the flashback of Ubel. And Yeah, I wasn't thinking this was going to be this brutal, but they literally did kind of point out the sheer like heartlessness and cruelty that is Ubel. Not cruelty is I don't think is a good word. She doesn't see things the same way that other people do, which was kind of shocking to see. Like the sheer lack of any sort of care for what she did. She just literally does and goes, oh, it worked. Too much power. Oopsies. Like she just gave no craps. But yes, this whole test where, yes, we've talked about before that she killed this proctor. We get to see that test where, yes, this guy, this first class mage, is all about defenses. And the test was to make him essentially push back a foot. And so everybody's blasting him. And Sin says that we had no fears that he was going to get hurt. Like we had no doubts that he would block really anything. And so, yes, sure enough, Ubel comes up there, right in half, turns around and goes, oops, too much. I guess I used too much power. It's like, it's literally like the sheer like brutality of that was crazy. And yes, they kind of ramped up the violenceness of it because like in the manga, it just kind of shows like just a clean cut and nothing really like blood or anything like that. But yeah, we see like gushing blood and everything and flopping over. But yeah, asking Ubel, how did you do it? It's like, yeah, I'm kicked out, right? I failed the test, whatever. But no, how'd you do it? And this gets into an explanation of how Ubel works, which has pretty much been laid out before. Ubel keeps talking about the idea that magic is based on your upbringing, which we get a sense here from Ubel what that is for her. She was raised, her sister did a lot of sewing, so she got to see that a lot. That's why her ability can cut through anything. It's because she was raised watching her sister doing sewing and cutting up fabrics and everything like that. That became ingrained in her mind. And yes, additionally, with this situation here, that's how she was able to cut through this guy who had this robe that was completely full of defenses. Well, fabric can be cut, right? Sure, surely. Hair can be cut. That's why she was afraid, why she said that she could defeat Sin at that point. Her mindset is, if I can imagine that that is simple as cutting it, it makes sense to me. Because magic is a thing that people envision. Now, I'm curious how that sort of leaves the door open for a lot of oddities here. And the idea that even when Lan was telling her, no, her hair is full of defenses, her mana is infused into her hair, and it thus has magical defenses, she's like, no, it doesn't matter. So somebody is telling Ubel right there that your vision is wrong, but yes, she's still envisioning it. So it's probably an aspect that because she believes it so much, even when he says something that counters it, it doesn't overcome her belief. She has this belief, and this doesn't fit with that belief, so I'm going to discard it. So yes, she can easily take down Sense. I'm just going to cut it. Just like that hair needs to be cut. It would be pain to have to deal with all that hair. It should be cut. But yeah, that whole scene is really kind of cementing this mindset that Ubel has. If I can envision it, I'll do it. But this opens the door for what Sense sort of points out here. She crazy. She's crazy. And that's what makes her so scary. That's what makes Sense truly see that Ubel has something wrong with her, is that normally most intelligent individuals will see, but I can't cut that robe because it's full of magic. Everybody else in that crowd sees that robe and knows immediately just by looking at it, that can block anything. That wasn't the case with Ubel. Because Ubel knows you can cut through fabric with a scissor. It makes this really nice noise. Just cuts right through it. So, in her mind, I can cut through that robe. Unfortunately, cut through the entire individual at the same time, but she literally just figured that, and it worked. Now, this goes back into how Ubel has sort of pointed out how she learns other abilities. With the idea that magic is what you can envision, that plays in with everything else that they've kind of pointed out with her learning other people's abilities. Wurble. Empathizing with him is understanding how he was raised and thus being able to envision it. Oh, now I can envision this binding ability because now I understand Wurble. And it's similar with Land. Now, again, I'm assuming that she already can, but it's eventually when I can understand him and his desire to not put others in danger in his own place, which is why he creates clones, she'll be able to envision it. But again, what makes Ubel dangerous and what makes her so powerful that they're pointing out here is that she doesn't think of the same logics as other people. which I think in the realm of magic is extremely powerful and is a massive threat for anybody around her. If we're standing in front of each other and there's a wall between us, a logical person would say that wall blocks us. But Ubel can see, no, that's not really there, and thus gets past it. That's the main key thing here, is she's able to get past barriers that most people would have put up because they think logically in the physical and laws of the world itself, which is crazy. But yeah, it was a quick fight. And I actually seen that spoiler. I don't remember how I seen it, but I ended up running into a panel that showed Ubel past Sense, and Sense's replica was kind of fading away. So I kind of knew that Ubel was going to defeat her, unfortunately, but it's fine. But yeah, we see Methode end up running into Werble and all them at a brief moment, talks about how she needs to have them kind of keep all the replicas in check. She sends them to handle Denkin. At the same time, she's going to handle Fern. Now, yeah, I was kind of suspecting that Methode was going to be taken down. Like, she literally goes, okay, well, I can sense her, I can find her, but I need to be alone. Because if I have you guys around me, it's gonna cause a problem. I need to be able to focus on her. And they did show a brief moment where, yes, she ends up finding Fern. Fern gets an opening attack. It seemed like, obviously, she was able to detect that Fern was there, was able to get around it. But in the end, when the Fern gets taken out, it literally sees a brief shot of her, and it's right in front of her. And there is these massive holes all over the place. And I'm like, I kind of want to know what happened there. that kind of sucks. I kind of want to know what happened there. There's two options here. One is that, yes, Fern may have been right on Methode and was about to take her out, or Methode bound her. And that's why she was right in front of her, is because she had her bound. But yeah, still, it kind of shows that there was a battle there. And I'm kind of surprised that Methode was able to take her on and survive. Of course, it could have been mere seconds. It could have been, in Friren's term, mere seconds. But yeah, that was kind of a shock there. I like how it showed for a brief moment. You know what? Yeah, I tested my binding ability with her. Friren's right there, kind of messing with her, and Fern's just sitting there stuck. Yeah, the reveal that Ubel came back, I have to admit that my stomach kind of sunk when they showed that, because like it is that idea of, well, the reason why my stomach kind of sunk is I was obviously, yeah, Ubel. We just seen how scary Ubel is, and then suddenly Ubel's back. The new replica's back. But additionally, my mind was starting to race with how that could possibly be. My initial thought process wasn't going into, wait, does that mean that the replicas can be recreated again? My actual primary thought, that process I had there was, okay, land is right next to her. Is this proof that Ubel already knew how to make a clone of herself? And thus, the replica, when it was created in this dungeon, immediately created a clone of herself. And so the one that Ubel defeated before was actually a clone using land's power. But no, then they show the other ones. I'm like, never mind. unless they're able to create clones of themselves of different people, and thus we're making replicas are making clones, and it's just all over the place. No, it's just the replicas are being created again. But yeah, that kind of wraps up the whole thing. We got a brief shot outside with all the losers, unfortunately. Again, I'm kind of still bummed that Lawine was outed. I kind of wanted Richter to win too. He kind of won me over, but yeah, in the end, we had pretty much all of Werbel's group made it. Unfortunately for Lawine and Kane, only Kane made it. Ubel and Land both made it. Methode made it, which was kind of cool as well. That rando guy that was with the mind control girl made it. And of course, Fern and Frieren. So quite a lot more people made it to the end than I thought would actually make it to it. And yes, we seen the rando guy get taken outside. The guy that was in the bathtub and crying in some weird tunnel. I'm sure he's going to be important at some point, but they just kept randomly showing him kind of crying somewhere in the dungeon, and then eventually it looks like he got kicked out. But yeah, incredible episode. I'm really fearful about what we're going to be doing from here on out. Again, we only have 2 episodes left. I would imagine one episode is going to be a cooldown period, and then I don't know, maybe 1 episode's enough to do the entire exam, or maybe half the episode is going to be the exam, and then, I don't know, some follow-up at the very end. I really do hope that we get an announcement for another season very quickly and we don't leave it on a really bad note. I mean, the only thing that can really see them kind of doing a really good ending is maybe a run-in with Saturday with Frieren, or I don't know, maybe we'll finally, I doubt we'll actually get to see the actual kill the Demon Lord, because that's something that I kind of forgot about a long time ago. I just assumed that eventually we'll have a flashback of the fight with the Demon Lord, but that could be something for way later down in the manga. Maybe they're just going to keep that for I don't know, some massive conclusion at the very end. Maybe the big reveal of the Demon Lord coming back. That's the big question mark there. That was one of my predictions that I had, is that the reason they're not showing the fight with the Demon Lord is because at some point Frieren's going to run into them, and the writer doesn't want us to know that until it actually happens. And then Frieren goes, oh, it's the Demon Lord. I don't know. I would imagine that most everybody that's around now, besides Frieren herself and other people that live a long time like dwarves, are even going to know what the Demon Lord looks like. So, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 26, an incredible episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips, links, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and I'll take care.